I will go ahead and get us started, Kayla, if that sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Maddie's Community Conversations. Happy February. Kayla and I will be doing a February themed call throughout the month. So wear your pink, wear your reds. Valentine's Day. And we are so glad that you're joining us today. I'm Sheila Kukan, and not only do I have the honor of hosting community conversations this year, but I also had the pleasure of speaking on a community conversation 3 years ago this week. So shameless plug, check it out. We can definitely drop the chat, the call in the chat. And I'm really excited to welcome Kayla Wade as my co-host for February. Kayla Wade joined the Humane Society of Charlotte in October 2020 and currently has the position of Assistant Shelter Operations Manager, as well as being the co-chair of the DEI committee. Kayla has always dreamed of being able to help strengthen the bond between a pet and their owner by providing behavioral assistance to those in need, keeping pets in loving homes. Kayla's primary role consists of creating and implementing behavior modification and enrichment plans for shelter dogs to increase their adoptability, lower their length of stay, and reduce kennel stress. She also provides low-cost counseling services for people who have pets with behavioral challenges and hosts volunteer-led shelter dog training classes. So Kayla is incredible. I'm so excited to be here with Kayla and her adorable cat, Murphy, who I hope makes an appearance. Thank you so much, and please join me in welcoming Kayla.
Hi, it's so good to see some familiar names in the chat. And thanks so much for introducing me, Sheila. It's great to be here. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to hear from our wonderful speakers as well. So I know I have to provide my pet tax. Here she is.
Hi, Murphy.
It's kind of snowy here in Charlotte, so she's been bundled up in the blanket. So I'll let her get back to that shortly, but I thought she should make an appearance because she's a big part of why I'm here today. All right, so I'd love to share the question of the day with everyone. If you are comfortable sharing, what is your zodiac/horoscope, either or, and do you think it fits your personality? So I'll go ahead and go first. I am a Virgo. I don't know my rising and falling, so please don't come at me in the chat. But I did look up my horoscope for today, and it is chances are you'll feel upbeat and positive today. Consider sharing this energy with those around you who are feeling less than content. Your attitude can have a profound effect on people. And I just really love that for me today, especially doing this call as a reminder to continue being my authentic, upbeat self and to not ever dampen my spirit or energy. So love that for me today, especially in this wonderful community. Now let's see if there's any in the chat. Okay, looks like we have a Taurus who is very stubborn. Good to know. A triple Cancer. All right. That's from Mary. Aquarius, Aries, we got a lot of representation in here, I see. Lovely. Someone said, Patty said, Cancer, 100%, it fits. It always does. It really always does. I'm a Leo, Brandy says, and a fire sign. I love the signs, the elements. Feel like I'm more of a stubborn male lion instead of the fierce female. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I love all these answers. Libra from Jennifer. I need to find more balance in my life. Can relate. I can relate, Jennifer. I really can. Let's see. And Allison Virgo with, fortunately, Pisces rising. I really got to figure out my rising and falling, guys. I'm so sorry, but I'll get that info to you ASAP.
Yes, share your chart this month. And I am a Sagittarius, and I was born early, and I'm convinced it's so I could be a Sagittarius. And I also forgot to share with folks, you may remember Dr. Ray Taylor was on our steering committee and hosted community conversations last season and happens to be here and is also a Sagittarius. So lots of Sag representation here, and so happy to have community Canva family here. This is amazing. Please keep it coming in the chat. I love hearing about all your signs and your horoscopes. And as you're doing that, if anyone has national updates, please feel free to drop those in the chat now as well.
Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers. Today we are joined by Megan Graham, Operations Director, and Renee Gutierrez, RVT and M.A.S.H at Animal Balance. So I'm going to go ahead and announce Megan first, she, her, so pronouns. So Megan has begun working in the field of animal welfare for 18 years. She holds a bachelor's degree in outdoor recreation and resource management from Indiana University, but has not made much use of it. Tale as old as time. Her passion for animal welfare began when a volunteer position cleaning cat kennels at the local Spay/Neuter clinic inspired her to shift her career focus to animal welfare. Megan served as the executive director for Bend Spay and Neuter Project for 8 years and then joined the Animal Balance team in 2018 as their development director. During that time, she also worked as a development director for Fences for Fido and served on the board of Heard You Needed a Home Dog Rescue. And it's spelled H-E-R-D. I have to say that, and I love that name just so much. During a brief hiatus from Animal Balance, Megan was the director of Maddie's Pet Program of Nevada and then the executive director of Saving Grace Pet Adoption Center, a rural open admission animal shelter in Roseburg, Oregon. Megan's heart never truly left Animal Balance, however, and she remained on the board of directors from 2018 to 2023. She returned as the director of the Pacific region in April of 2023 and has since become the director of operations. Megan shares her life with her partner, Sal, a brown dog named Ollie, and a sassy little bully named Mabel. Thank you so much for being here, Megan.
Thank
All
you.
right, and I'm going to announce Renee. Renee is a compassionate and dedicated animal welfare advocate that has 30 years of boots on the ground experience. She started in general practice as an RVT and then got hired at her local animal shelter, where she worked until she retired. Her roles at the animal shelter included RVT and kennel supervisor, and then ultimately she served in the capacity as animal shelter manager for the last 5 years of her 20-year tenure. Renee has experience developing and creating a veterinary clinic and running a spay and neuter facility. She loves riding horses and spending time with her family, especially her grandsons. So please join me in welcoming Megan and Renee. Geez, I thought my 5 years in animal welfare was something, but these ladies are so full of experience and knowledge. So I'm very excited to hear you guys present today.
I think that just means we're getting old, Kayla. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us. No.
No, we're really, really excited to be here. And thank you for having us. Sheila, Kayla, Allison, everybody at Maddie's, thank you guys so much for giving us this opportunity. Let's see if I can share my screen. And we'll tell you guys a little bit about M.A.S.H today and animal balance. All right, how's that going? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. And I'm able to advance my slides. Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit today about how you can increase your spay and neuter capacity using M.A.S.H style spay and neuter. So I know a lot of folks are very familiar, obviously, with a brick and mortar spay and neuter, and also with mobile, using vans and trucks for spay and neuter. And today we're going to talk about the third type of spay and neuter option, which is M.A.S.H clinics, which I think is the least known model. So we will speak about this. So Animal Balance, we have been around since 2004. We have, which I guess is 22 years ago now, which is crazy. We are a non-governmental organization, a global non-governmental organization. Our mission is to collaborate with communities in need to create sustainable and humane non-human animal management programs to prevent suffering and ignite social change. Our three of our most important values are compassion for all species, collaboration, and coexistence. So Animal Balance began 20 years ago on the Galapagos Islands in 2004, when the founder and director of Animal Balance, Emma Clifford, learned that the Ecuadorian government was using poison to control the cat and dog population on the islands in order to protect the native wildlife. So obviously that was inhumane, it was ineffective, and she became bound and determined to change that. So I don't know, for those of you guys who don't know, the Galapagos Islands are located about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, and they are a part of the country of Ecuador. So Emma worked with the Ecuadorian government for almost 2 years to convince them to allow her to bring in a team of veterinarians and technicians to provide a humane alternative to the poison and control the cat and dog population using high quality, high volume spay and neuter clinics. And for those of you who don't know, also, 4 of the islands of the Galapagos Islands are inhabited by humans, which, as you guys know, means that they're also inhabited by cats and dogs. And so we've been working on the Galapagos for the past 22 years. From the Galapagos, we went to 12 other island nations around the world and used the same model that we used on Galapagos, which is, again, this M.A.S.H style spay and neuter, where we bring in teams. We can do these clinics pretty much anywhere. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. And, just like everybody else, we had to pivot. But we really had to pivot because we could no longer travel internationally. And so that's when Animal Balance started working in the United States. And so we now work in 5 different states, primarily in California, but we also work in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada. So that is the very short version of this story. If you want to learn more, for the sake of time, you can visit animalbalancegalapagos.org, and that's the whole story is there. There's also going to be a link at the end of the presentation to a really great article that talks all about the Galapagos program and how it can be used as a blueprint for other areas in need. So I'm just going to show a quick video because who doesn't want to see a little bit of the Galapagos, on this snowy morning, apparently. So I'm just going to show a short video. Hopefully it works. And it is just a quick insight into kind of, I wish I could show a video of the first clinics on Galapagos, but we don't have that, unfortunately. But this is kind of how far we've come. We actually have a clinic on one of the islands, Isabella. We have a clinic on the island of Isabella. If you can see, it's the biggest island in the middle on my map here. But the clinic was pretty rustic at first, and over the last 20 years, we've brought down all kinds of equipment. We now actually have a pretty functional animal hospital with anesthesia machines and even an autoclave. So here we go.
I was speaking at a conference and I was explaining about how any individual can make an impact on this planet. You just have to have that dream and you have to push. And at this point I hadn't done the Galapagos program or even started, but I knew that it was going to happen. It had to happen. It had to happen here because we had to prove that this humane strategy of spaying and neutering versus killing. And if we could do it on the Galapagos Islands, again, it would serve as a blueprint that we could share with people around the world that were facing the same issues.
So that video is quite a bit longer, but I chose to just share a small portion of that here. So yeah, now we are going to tell you guys a little bit more about exactly what we mean when we say M.A.S.H style spay neuter. I know a lot of you guys probably are familiar, but I'm assuming that some people are not 100% familiar. And so Renee and I are going to kind of just explain what M.A.S.H is. And then we'll talk a little bit about the work that we're doing in the United States. And again, if you want to learn more about the Galapagos program, it is a really long and interesting story that Animal Balance started from. So feel free to visit Animal Balance Galapagos and you can check out the whole story. And you can sign up to join us if you're interested. I'm going to let Renee talk a little bit more about here what M.A.S.H is.
So what is M.A.S.H? So M.A.S.H stands for Mobile Animal Sterilization Hospital. The M.A.S.H model can be set up with the proper equipment in almost any location. M.A.S.H allows for each station to be located in the same room, maximizing safety and efficiency. So in this video, this high-speed video that we have on here is just to kind of show you how we're all in one room. The video's in the Bahamas, and you can see different operating tables. So we're doing surgery on a couple of tables. We're doing prep on a couple of tables. On the floor, we're doing recovery behind those prep tables. And then in the very back, there's cages. The screen went off, Megan.
Oh, okay.
In the very back, there's cages with animals in it. And then there's also a place to wash and sterilize the instruments that we use. So being all in that one location is efficient, and that's how we're able to do so much in one day, because everybody's on the same page, everything's monitored, the communication is so much easier. If it arises that there is an emergency, then everybody jumps in and everybody could help. We can hear each other. The veterinarians are right there, accessible to us. And so the function and the flow is amazing when you're in one room. So that's the true M.A.S.H model.
Yeah, so we bring in all the equipment in this situation. We'll bring in all the equipment we can set up in pretty much any environment, and we have set up in pretty much any environment on the 12 islands that we've worked around the world. We've had all kinds of different adventures, all kinds of different locations. And that's the beauty of M.A.S.H really, is that you can do it in any environment. So you can bring it into any community that needs access to care. You can drop it right into a community center. You can drop it into a church. Anyone that's willing to allow you to use their facility and has, it's climate controlled and ideally has a bathroom. And has running water is kind of the bare minimum requirements, at least if we're working internationally. Of course, in the United States, things are a little bit more, the requirements a bit more stringent in the United States. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and the transition that Animal Balance made from working internationally, which we still do work internationally. We still work in the Galapagos. We still have our clinic there. We are going to American Samoa in July. And so we're still definitely keep holding on to our international roots. But when we pivoted to working in the United States, the first place that we worked was in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. That was the area that was identified as having the greatest need at the time, back in 2019. We partnered with Palm Valley Animal Shelter and I know Harlingen Animal Shelter and a few other places in that area to get these clinics up and running and start doing these M.A.S.H clinics in the United States. Since then, we've expanded to New Mexico, Arizona. We also work in Nevada, and then, of course, in California. So each state is different. Each state has different laws and requirements that if you are interested in doing this on your own, you'll want to follow up with your state veterinary medical board, and they are going to have the requirements for surgery, the requirements for setting up a veterinary clinic. And it's been a wild ride learning all of the different requirements for different states, and then also ensuring that we have veterinarians that are licensed in each state. We're currently doing a lot of advocacy work in addition to our clinics, because we kind of are the first group that's doing this type of work in this way in different ways. So it makes things exciting. But yeah, true M.A.S.H can be set up in almost any location, but you do have to check the laws in your state to see which type of buildings you can use if you're interested in doing this on your own. So, for example, California, we have to do what we're kind of referring to as a modified M.A.S.H model. And so in California, the state laws require surgery to be done in a room with walls and a door. And so for M.A.S.H purposes, we generally don't have surgery separate. We have surgery in the same room, and it's very close to recovery. It's close to prep. And we do that not only for efficiency, moving animals around the clinic, but also for safety. But in California, we've pivoted again. We're now utilizing a lot of existing clinics. So what we found when we first started working in California was that a lot of shelters had built these beautiful veterinary clinics, and then they couldn't find veterinarians to work in them. And so we started, that was where we started in Fresno, was the first place that we started working in California. That was back in 2023. And they had built this beautiful, it's actually the picture in the middle, this beautiful veterinary clinic. Actually, it's the picture in the middle and on the right. And so we have been going there to Fresno almost every month for the last 2.5 years and doing clinics in their beautiful facility. They have since hired a veterinarian, but they still have us come in to do these types of clinics. And so we are working, part of the advocacy work that we're doing right now is we're working in partnership with the California Veterinary Medical Association, the California Veterinary Medical Board, and the San Francisco SPCA, among others, to try and get these laws modified or changed so that we are able to do true MASH clinics in California. So stay tuned for that. That is in process, and that's all I'm allowed to say because it's top secret. So I'm going to pass it back off to Renee to talk about how we actually implement these clinics when we work in different communities.
Working together in every community, Animal Balance partners with local nonprofit or municipal shelters to host our 3-day clinics where we provide spay and neuter for at least 200 cats and dogs. It seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but we actually do it. So these clinics provide local residents access to basic veterinary care. In cases where we're working with shelter animals, our services allow those animals to go home sooner, saving valuable funds and decreasing the amount of time an animal spends in the shelter. This is how I got involved with Animal Balance. So I was the manager in Solano County in California, and I partnered with Animal Balance and RSO Foundation to bring those services to my community. It was such a godsend because after I retired, I just very smoothly transitioned over to Animal Balance. So I got to see the backside of it, which was partnering with Animal Balance and what all that entails. And I also got to see the impact that it made on the Solano County community. So it's really a win-win on both sides of it, because not only does Animal Balance teach our model, so it's sustainable for the community, but the community gets those services that they're so in desperate need of. We're making that access to care so much easier for them. Those resources aren't in each community.
Yeah, so every time, thank you, Renee. Yeah, we go into a community. It's generally because we've been invited into the community by a local partner group, and we rely on our partners to provide things like help us with the clinic space, local volunteers, lunches, things like that. We always have a partner group, and part of that reason is because we always want our work to be sustainable. We never want to be in any place for too long, with the exception of the Galapagos. But we never want to be in any place for too long. We prefer to go in and we do 2 to 3 clinics, or, sometimes it's longer series clinic, but we want to train the partner groups so that they're able to do these clinics on their own. Because one of our biggest goals is to ignite social change, to empower local organizations to be able to do the work on their own, so that they don't rely on us. We want everyone to steal our ideas. We want everyone to steal our information. We want everyone to use it on their own and be able to do this in their own communities.
Our California partners, we have almost 20, if not 20 partners currently. We run about 5 clinics simultaneously, which is a lot of work. Some of our partners, we have, about 5 clinics. So it really is dependent upon our partner and what our contractual agreements are of how many clinics we actually do in that location. Again, like we mentioned earlier, through the M.A.S.H model, we can set up in a park, in a old county abandoned building. So whatever our contract is with that specific partner is how many times we actually stay at that location. Some of our partners, like Fresno, we're there almost every month, and some like Clear Lake, we're there every 3 months. So it really all depends, but we go anywhere from Northern California to Southern California, as well as the different states and then the different islands.
Yeah, so the map here is just inquiries that we've received are in blue, and then the green ones are places that we're going, and then this list is kind of growing every day. Feels like it's growing every day. And so just a little bit more about our program model that we're currently using. This is something that we've been working on for ever since we started working in the United States, was kind of honing this program model in to make it something that was replicable, scalable, and that we could feasibly do with a small team 5 times. Well, now we're doing it about 5-6 times a month. So, we bring in specially trained teams of veterinarians and technicians that are recruited for our M.A.S.H teams. These are people who have pre-existing experience in this area and are experts in the field. So we do a minimum of 200 surgeries over 3 days, which works out to about 67.5 patients per day. And those can be public animals, so owned animals, or they can be animals that are in the shelter, depending on our partners' needs. It can also, a lot of times it's animals who are in foster care waiting to be adopted. We provide vaccines and microchips for all of our patients. And then, as I mentioned before, we provide support and training for the partner group. So the partner group kind of, in a way, determines their own, how much participation they have in the clinics. And so, some groups will send their RVT or their doctor to work with us for a day or two, and then they'll rotate. But a lot of times it's really the volunteers that they bring in who learn how to do things like intake and registration. They learn how to do surgical packs. They learn how to do discharge, and just learning how to do this all in a way that is very efficient, while also maintaining safety and sticking to the SOPs that we have. So we always want to make sure that the support and training for the partner group is going to ensure that these clinics are able to go on long after we leave. So, and just on the bottom, we've done about 13,000 surgeries in this way in California since we started working in California in 2023. So now we want to switch over to talking a little bit more about some things to consider if you guys want to do M.A.S.H clinics in your own communities. Let's see, sorry, I can't see my own screen, but you can see my screen. Okay. So talking about recruitment, I know one of the hardest things, obviously, and one of the challenges that I'm sure you're all facing is finding veterinarians. And honestly, finding technicians, because a lot of times people start with, oh, we need veterinarians to make this happen. And honestly, you need veterinarians, but you also need skilled technicians, because your veterinarians will be standing there waiting for surgeries if you don't have technicians who can keep up with them. So equally as important to finding vets is finding techs. One of the ways we've had success in doing this is by sort of obviously making it a fun and a travel experience, because we're able to offer that. But a lot of people like working relief these days. A lot of people don't want to be tied down to a specific shelter or a specific practice. They want to just be able to float around and do their own thing. And so it's my gut feeling, and we've seen a lot of this with our partner groups, but if you're able to offer, a decent relief package, and if you're able to offer, let's say, for example, you're in Clear Lake and you've got this beautiful lake, and somebody who has an Airbnb, if you're able to make that a package for a veterinarian, that sounds very attractive, right? And bring your own tech with you to be able to get paid a fair, competitive daily rate. That's really important. Also, you have to pay your veterinarians and technicians, you guys. I know that it comes up a lot too, that we want everyone to volunteer for everything. But honestly, the way to get skilled people and the way to get people to come back is you need to be able to pay them a competitive rate, and then offer them a fun adventure. And that's what we try to do with Animal Balance. So that's one of the ways that we recruit teams. We bring in about 3 vets for our clinics usually. And then we have about 4 to 5 technicians and an additional 3 or 4 people who are either veterinary assistants. They're usually volunteers who are led by an RVT for recovery. And then of course, supported by a ton of local volunteers, because this really does take a team of about 20 or 30 people to pull off in a way that is efficient and safe. To be able to do that number anyways, to be able to do about 70 surgeries a day. So you want to look at the available spaces, and also, again, going back to what the laws are in your state. So are you able to use community center? Are you able to, where's the need? Are you able to use a gymnasium? Things like that you're going to want to consider. Does it have running water and a bathroom? And can we use it for the entire day? And are we able to bring animals into this space? And where would we put surgery versus where are we going to house the animals? Do we have a separate space to house cats? We like to keep our cats housed away from our dogs, of course. Oftentimes that's the men's bathroom, to be 100% honest. Usually the men's bathroom becomes the cat room because there's not very many men on our clinics. So looking at things like that and what the laws are in your state. And then the other piece that I'm going to talk about is just the equipment. Obviously, you need anesthesia machines, you need autoclaves, you need monitoring equipment. You need a lot of surgical packs. And so Animal Balance over the years has kind of honed in on a type of specific type of anesthesia machines we like to use. We have an equipment list that we present to our partner groups prior to the clinics and make sure that between the two of us, we've acquired all the equipment that we need in order to do the clinics safely. So I'm going to pass it off to Renee, who is our RVT, to talk a little bit more about the other things on our list.
Yeah, so the drug protocol is very important that there is protocols in place for almost every single area of what we're doing. But the drug protocols, you want to keep them up to date with, what's modern. You want to ensure that the whole team knows exactly what those drug protocols are, what we're using. They stay consistent through every clinic that we're doing. Unless a certain drug would be, on back order and we would have to pivot and adapt what we're doing. Megan and the team works with our veterinarians to put those protocols in place. We're not like the gold standard private practice because we do focus on spay and neuter, not being a full access veterinary clinic. So we do use what is the quickest where the animals go down, the quickest that the animals are going to wake up. And what's really important is that they remain consistent. We have drug charts. We comply with all the rules and laws and regulations for each state that we have. So we make sure that we keep track of everything. Our supplies, it depends on our partner of what supplies we're buying, what supplies the partner is supplying, but we do go over that beforehand so everybody knows what supplies we need. We don't want to run out on those 3 days, so we want to make sure all our supplies are there. It also depends on our partner, and these are all things that are discussed ahead of time of where those supplies are going to be shipped, what we're bringing with us, where they're shipped. That includes the drugs as well, because we have a DEA veterinarian. So are we shipping them straight to the veterinarian? Are we shipping them to the shelter? Are we bringing those with us? So those are all the logistics that we work out ahead of time. And then SOPs, like I mentioned, we have SOPs for every single area. Our volunteers know those SOPs and we send those out by email. We talk about them. Each technician, each veterinarian, everything is ran by SOPs. It cuts down on confusion. It keeps the consistency across the board. So we do this M.A.S.H model the same way every single day and every single location that we go to.
Yep, that's super.
I don't know if you had anything to add to there, Megan.
Nope, I think that's pretty much it. We have the same paperwork that goes through each clinic, and then we send out our medical records directly to our clients via email. So yeah, we've worked really, really hard to make sure that we're complying with all of the state regulations, that we've got all the proper signage, all of those things up. So really, really important that if you guys are going to do these clinics or you want to do these clinics in your own area, make sure that you're following all the rules, that you have SOPs, that you have proper drug protocols, that you're providing. Again, it's not going to be gold standard private practice medicine, but a high quality of care, because we want to make sure that everyone who sees these clinics is seeing that we are able to provide high quality of care while still being able to do these clinics in pretty much any location.
We just quickly, I want to mention one more thing. Like, we consider your pets our pets. And so for each area, we do post like our drug charts, our, flea and tick preventions, whatever in that we need for that area for everybody to have a quick reference to, we post it in each section. And it helps with the flow, and it helps in a time crunch, or if an emergency does arise, we can address it immediately.
So these are some of the takeaways for the groups that not only the groups that partner with us, but again, if you were to start doing this in your own community, it is a great way to increase your surgical capacity. It does take a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It takes a lot of work to get there. But you will eventually start to see a reduction in shelter length of stay, which is then going to translate into a reduction in shelter euthanasia. You're going to be able to clear your shelter backlogs more quickly, especially animals that you have in foster to adopt. I know some of the groups that we've worked with have started, they're like, we have like 1,000 animals in foster to adopt. Like, please come help us, because like we're still financially responsible for all of these animals and they can't officially be adopted. And so we'll go and do 3 or 4 clinics, and then boom, over 3 or 4 months, they've caught up on their backlog. So that's huge for saving money for shelters. Also, if you continue to do these types of clinics, you're going to see a reduction in shelter intake. I know we've been working in Santa Cruz County. Santa Cruz County Animal Services has seen I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but they've seen a pretty good reduction in their shelter intake, and they're attributing it directly to the clinics that they've started doing with Animal M.A.S.H, which is really cool. Of course, just improve public health, because all these animals are getting access to vaccines that they may not have had before, and then an increased access to care. So these are just wanted to show some fun photos of some of our clinics. And I just realized I didn't get any cats in here. I'm sorry for our cat people. But our clinics, we like to say that they are replicable, scalable, and honestly, they're fun. So I hope
a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of, we always try to have fun. So this is a quote from one of our partners, the SPCA of Lake County, and they really utilized every single aspect of our clinic to the best of their ability. They've taken a lot of our SOPs and made them their own. They've really embraced us and our team, and they've been able to increase their capacity from, I think they started with about 30 cats in a day, and I think the last clinic they did like 88 cats. So they're really, I think we've done 6 clinics with them, I think. We're going to do a few more. We're doing a few more this year, and then we're just going to send them on their way, and they're going to do their own thing. So we love that. We'll always be friends. And and sometimes we'll steal or borrow the technicians and the people that we meet along the way, but vice versa. Animal Balance will also, our team sometimes ends up staying and working for our partner groups too. So
they love us, we love them, and we're very proud of them. Very proud.
And they're the only group that we've worked with that brought in a taco truck for lunch. So that immediately made them like one of our favorite groups to work with. So, and then I just wanted to mention our partnership with LA Animal Services. This was a huge one, very impactful because we were able to do about 1,200 surgeries for LAAS over about a year, maybe a little less than a year. But it helped them keep their shelter numbers flowing. It's helped them to make sure that the animals were still able to move through the shelter as quickly as possible and become available for adoption as quickly as possible. We were actually there when the fires happened, or we were having clinics during that time, and it became even more important during that time to be able to make sure that they were able to keep those animals moving through the shelter so they had space for the animals coming in. So, and Renee, because we poached Renee directly from Solano County, I was going to let her talk for just a minute about recruitment.
Yes. So There's numerous positions with animal balance, as we've mentioned. So there's our veterinarians, there's our registered veterinary technicians, the RVTs, and then there's assistants. And in addition to those, there's volunteers. So if you're a vet, you're a technician, or you want to volunteer, please reach out to us, animalbalance.org, to sign up and learn more. Each position is a part of that team, a part of that assembly line. Like we mentioned, it is fun. I can guarantee you, I can promise you, and you guys can hold me to this. If you do one clinic with animal balance, you are going to be hooked. You are definitely going to be hooked, and you're going to want to come back for more. Our international program, our in the States program, you get to travel, you get to do what you love. It's my passion to continue to help animals. I'm doing that through the clinic coordinator or the MASH responder, but also as an RVT. And so there's a spot for everybody. And it just goes back to that mentality of, what do you want to do? Do you want to work, or do you want to do your passion and love what you're doing? And that's definitely animal balance. I absolutely love what I'm doing here.
And I figured out, here's my cats. I did have pictures of cats. I just happened to put them all on this
You
page.
waited.
Here's our cats. And honestly, this is a great way to get some ideas for doing these clinics on your own. You're more than welcome to join us. I think that's the best way to do it. You're going to learn the most. Again, we encourage people to steal our ideas and do them in your own communities. So if you want to join us, again, visit animalbalance.org. You can join us as a volunteer, or if you're a veterinarian licensed in California, in one of the states that we work in, or if you're a tech or an assistant, we would love to have you join us. Sorry, shameless plug there for joining us, because we're doing so many clinics. We need a lot of people to join. And then here's our contact information. You guys are welcome to write this down, reach out to us. We've got our website, animalbalance.org, and then we also have our Animal Balance Galapagos website as well. And then for areas where we are not working, we do offer some consulting opportunities for organizations that are located in states that we're not working. So never fear. We may have worked in your state before. We're not working there now because we have worked in some other states as well. But we're happy to help you figure out how to do this. And that's all we have. Hopefully we're okay on time.
Yeah, that was great. I learned a lot. I didn't know about the Galapagos Islands at all in terms of that history. And I think I speak for everyone with that video and how, well made it was. And I can't wait to watch it again and see all that good work being done. So I think something that came to the forefront of my mind, when you're talking about that, is kind of the public perception of the animals on the island. It sounds like they were kind of considered to be almost like pests because they were kind of harming the environment. Do you find with this work that perception has changed, not even just on the islands, but in other states and other work you've done, that people kind of feel differently when they're not?
Yeah, definitely. I was not part of the original group to go to Galapagos, but I have heard many, many stories. And I can attest to the fact that that driving down the dirt roads on the island of Isabella, you will see dogs, little poodles with their heads sticking out the window and their hair is dyed. Or you will see a grown man pushing a baby carriage with two like tiny chihuahuas or poodles in it. It's amazing. And from what I understand, animals were definitely more of a nuisance, seen as more of a nuisance when we first started this work. So not only that, but the communities, the volunteers that started with us were children when they started volunteering with us in 2004. And now we've got at least, there's one woman who went on to become a veterinarian, which is huge in terms of just women becoming veterinarians in general. But for Galapagos, that's basically was unheard of. So she was a volunteer with us when she was a kid, and then now has come all full circle to become a veterinarian and is working with us again, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The history of that is just jaw-dropping. Listening to it. So we do have a couple questions. We have another minute or so. It sounds like you guys answered a lot of these questions already, and it sounds like kind of reaching out to your website, you can kind of get the specifics. But I'll ask one from April King. Does animal balance help in other countries? We've been contacted by people in Iraq wanting to do this, but their barrier is knowledge of local vets for spaying cats. The vets speak some English, so it's possible some training could be done online. So kind of looking into that international piece.
Yeah, definitely. We get inquiries from all over the world all the time, and we do our best to work with them and figure out what resources either, we can plug them into through people that we know, or if it's appropriate, if it's Animal Balance helping directly, we're happy to help in any way that we can for sure. And like I said, we do that all over countries all over the world.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
We have another time for one more. Ken Hopkins asked, where do the animals go after surgery? Do they go back to the shelters, back to the owners? If they're feral, where do they kind of recover?
Yeah, so generally that is something that we organize with the partner group to make sure that if it's community cats, that they've got somewhere to stay overnight. Our aftercare instructions state that, make sure that you're keeping your pet indoors. But yeah, if it's owned animals, they go home with the owners. All of our patients stay at least 2 hours post-surgery before they can be signed off by a veterinarian to go home. And then they're going home with their aftercare instructions, their e-collars, and their pain medication. And then for shelter animals, they go back into the shelter, and the shelter staff, administers their pain medication and takes care of them. So
awesome. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions, but I think we'll definitely continue this on the forum. I think everyone has a lot of specifics and the logistics of it in terms of questions, but we will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you both so much for this. I definitely learned a lot, and that was very eye-opening. I think we can get kind of pigeonholed in our own kind of local community. So seeing how this work kind of expands so far and hearing those numbers and seeing those photos, it was just really amazing to see how much work you guys do. Thank you, the audience, for joining us today as well. Our notes will be available on the Maddie's Pet Forum to continue throughout the week to continue discussion. Feel free to post more questions there. Allison will put the link to the discussion thread in the chat. And then I think we can go ahead and end this with a reflection question. So what would increased spay and neuter capacity look like in your community? You can go and reflect on that. You can pop some in the chat if you'd like. But think about, what does that look like for you?
Thank you so much, Megan and Renee. Your impact and passion for this work is truly palpable, and I'm so grateful you could join us today. And thank you, Kayla, for kicking off February as my co-host. I will be back with you next week for a conversation with Lawrence Minnis on managing the unknown, uncertainty, behavior, and better outcomes in animal welfare. So hope to see you all back next week. And as always, if you're interested in hosting or if you have any topics you'd like to hear about or speakers, please let us know on Maddie's Pet Forum. But I know there were a lot of wonderful questions in the chat, so we'll be sure to get to that on Maddie's Pet Forum after the call. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.